Lesson 1. On February 10, 1860, at the end of the Edo period, a ship left Japan to cross the Pacific. It was a Japanese ship sent to America by the Bakufu. It was not a big enough ship for the long and difficult voyage, but people on the ship wanted to do this job well. They thought this voyage was important for the future of Japan. Some of them also wanted to see America with their own eyes. Before this voyage in 1853, the Kurofune, or black ships, came to Japan. They wanted Japan to open its doors to the world. At that time, many people were afraid of the ships, but some people thought that Japan should learn more about the world. There were also 11 American people on the Japanese ship. They had a lot of experience at sea, and they were good sailors, but the Japanese people didn't want them to be on the ship. They said, "We can cross the Pacific without their help." The voyage on the Pacific was not easy. The ship often went into storms. The Japanese people could not control the ship well. They didn't have much experience, and many of them got sick from the bad weather. One day, a very big storm came. The Japanese people could not control the ship, so the American sailors began to do it. Some Japanese people joined them. With their hard work, the ship made it through the storm. After this, the Japanese and the American people began to work together and had better communication. The American people showed the Japanese people how to control the ship. Some Japanese people tried to learn about America from the American people. Later, the Japanese and American people became friends. On March 17th, the people on the ship saw the mountains of San Francisco. They were very happy. The name of this ship was the Kandin Maru. Fukuzawa Yukichi and other young Japanese people were on the ship. They learned a lot during their stay in America and brought new ideas back to Japan. Later in the Meiji era, they worked hard for their country. This was a great voyage for Japan.
Lesson 2. When you see someone who is not loved by anyone, how do you feel? Mother Teresa saw many poor, sick, and dying people. She thought the most important thing for these people was love. She always thought about it. She started the Missionaries of Charity and gave hope to people around the world. In 1979, she won the Nobel Peace Prize, and with it, $190,000. She used the money to buy food for many poor people. Mother Teresa was a nun and a principal of a big school. In those days, she saw many poor, sick, and dying people with no food to eat because of war. One day, she felt that God wanted her to help the people in the poorest areas. So, in 1948, she left her school to help these people. She was alone and she did not have any money. First, she started a school in one of the poorest areas because she knew that the most important thing for a better life was learning to read and write. She did not have any desks, chairs, pens, or paper, so she wrote on the ground. The school started with a few children and it grew quickly. Second, she was able to begin the Missionaries of Charity. The number of members in it increased. All of them were poor like the poor people they helped, because she thought that they must be poor to understand them. Mother Teresa and the other members helped a large number of poor, sick, and dying people. Today, there are over 300 Missionaries of Charity houses around the world. Mother Teresa told people to be kind to the people around them. Sometimes people asked, "What can I do to help?" She always answered, "Begin at home by saying something good to your child, to your husband, or to your wife. Begin by helping someone in your community, at work, or at school. Mother Teresa died on September 5, 1997. She was 87 years old. Once, she was asked about the future of the missionaries of charity without her. She answered, "God will find someone better to help the poor people."
Lesson 3. There is a lot of food to eat in Japan. We can enjoy many different kinds of food, such as Japanese food, Chinese food, and American food. It is easy for Japanese people to get it. There are many good places to eat at, even in small towns. These days, more and more people show a lot of interest in food, and TV shows about food are also very popular. But do you know that there are many problems with our food? Take shrimp, for example. Today we eat a lot of shrimp. In 1960, only 625 tons of shrimp came from abroad, but about 300,000 tons of shrimp came from abroad last year. About 70% of the shrimp that we eat comes all the way from Asian countries such as Indonesia and India. So Japan is one of the most important countries to them. Now there are some big problems in those countries. Many large boats go to those countries to catch shrimp, but they catch a lot of fish with the shrimp too. They even catch very small fish. More and more people in those countries are becoming worried about the future. They do not think that they will be able to catch fish in several years. There are some environmental problems with catching shrimp too. The fish which the large boats catch with the shrimp die soon, and those fish are dumped into the sea, so the seawater becomes less clean. Another problem is produced by raising shrimp. It was difficult to catch enough shrimp in the sea, so they began to raise shrimp in ponds. They are cutting down trees and making large ponds. They lost a lot of forests, and they are still losing more forests now. There is a different kind of problem with shrimp. The boats which catch shrimp need a lot of oil. About 10 tons of oil is used to catch only 1 ton of shrimp. We do not know much about these problems in spite of eating a lot of shrimp. We enjoy a lot of food every day, but we do not have much knowledge about the problems behind the food. Shrimp is one example. It is important for us to try to understand these problems better.